Hey, Becky.
Welcome, John, Julie, and one of our favorite people of all time.
One of our favorite humans calling in from NYC. Mr. JD Beebe is on the line with us today. And if you don't know his name, you probably know his product because he kind of revolutionized the nonprofit scene a few years ago. And we, got to be a user of this. It's going to sound like we're getting paid by JD. We're not, because we just love this product so much. He built ThankView.com. ThankView is this insane product that basically takes the power of video and puts it in the hands of nonprofits for incredible stewardship. And we're going to talk about how that works a little bit on the show today. But before that, I love JD's backstory. He is a social good entrepreneur. He used those and leverages those entrepreneurial mindsets that we love to talk about on the podcast. But before founding ThankView, he actually had a digital marketing agency called The New Antisocial. But my favorite thing about JD's entrepreneurial past is that he had Beebe's Butt Camp, a fitness studio that was literally named one of the top 9 best new studios in NYC by rack.com. So who has done that in your life? We get to sit down with a legend today. So JD, thanks for coming to the show. We're so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'm grinning ear from ear. I've never been called a legend.
So
Great.
would you kind of fill in the dots of your story? What made you get very obsessed about the nonprofit sector and wanting to disrupt it with video? Kind of walk us on your journey to get here.
Yeah, so it was kind of a meandering path, as you might assume from the intro there. I've done a myriad of weird things, but really it started when I was getting married. I didn't want to have to handwrite the wedding notes. I just thought that was going to be a real pain, and thought it was this weird kind of social requirement to have to do it. You have a year to do it. It just seemed like a lot of additional anxiety after the wedding was done. So we did that. But then I encountered the Great Wall of Grandma, and a lot of people that I pushed it out to, they said, no, my grandmother's never going to accept it, which, by the way, she will. My grandmother and her boyfriend, Bob, were the first ones to watch our wedding ThankViews. But with that understanding, and actually instilled to thank people from my grandma, we thought, okay, well, there has to be additional application for this. And the kismet happened when I had made a donation to my alma mater, Boston University. They sent me a bookmark. I said, I don't want a bookmark. I want to talk to the student who convinced me to give. And that kind of got the ball rolling. And once we kind of recognized that there was that ability to, put that face and voice to the stewardship and the thanking part, and especially just because it made it more accessible. The handwritten card is great, but it's hard to scale. That's really when the light bulb moment went off. And of course, entering into this market, you're working with fantastic people, the people that are really raising funds for fantastic causes of all different shapes and sizes. We work with universities, K through 12, nonprofits, and hospital and healthcare systems. And the deeper and deeper we've gotten into this world, the more and more I enjoy it.
Wow. I
What a
feel
good
like
story.
in the first 3 minutes, you've already gotten a hack there if you're getting married, that you can do it through video.
And if you get married, just write us on intercom and I'll set you up for free. I do that for everybody.
Honestly, I'm sitting here thinking about how intuitive that is. I mean, I never want to diminish the power of a handwritten card, but that is so expected at the end of a wedding. And it's
Right.
like, if you could come on and just say, hey, it really meant a lot that you were there. And the fact that you were there, plus you gave this gift, this is what it meant to me. This is the beauty of what ThankView is to me. It's like the ability to take that emotion, take the human component, the vulnerability, the authenticity, and you literally can put it on a platform where someone can hear and see. I mean, it's just a brilliant idea, and it's so simple in a digital world where everybody has a phone. It's just so fantastic. So love that. Love what ThankView's done. I don't know how long ago we had used this. I feel like it was forever ago. We were probably in diapers. No, it was like 8 years ago. John was in diapers. I'm still old. But I really want to talk about the power of a thank you and how you kind of glommed onto that, because I'm really curious to hear you say you called your alma mater and said, I don't want your tchotchkes. I want the human, and what a lesson that would be as well. So kind of talk about what you've learned about the power of a thank you.
Oh man. I mean, I think there's been a lot of learnings. Obviously, from a business perspective, there is a market there, which is great. And, strangely, I found as we've entered into it, that stewardship often, as I'm sure you guys are aware too, just given the needs and requirements of the fundraiser, it's called fundraising. It's not called, donor relations is now a role, but so much of the effort and intention is put into the raising of the funds, and then that keeping that relationship and maintaining it tends to be put on the back burner not through any fault of really anybody, just because, life gets hectic. But I think in growing the company, we're just recognizing that it is those little moments. I always like to say it's not the grand, massive gestures. I think it's just the human connections that, again, one little connection here or there, people are going to remember you for the things that you kind of went out of your way to thank them, especially if you thank them directly and truly meaningfully. I think another great thing that we've been able to do with our product, and I'm saying just in general, you could do this, is especially with our universities, having scholarship students who are never going to be able to meet those donors, especially in today's day, be able to have that face and voice and connection, and then be able to create that two-way reciprocity, because then the donor can write back, give them words of encouragement, any suggestions. And I'd say for my personal use, one of the 5 values we have with ThankView is gratitude, and really trying to live that day in and day out. There's often, especially around Thanksgiving or around birthdays or certain parts of the year, I have a saved list of close family, friends, and connections. I'll go on a hike and I'll just, send people messages about, how much I care about our relationship. And, it's selfishly, it's very cathartic. And then 2, you get these beautiful messages back from, people that we're used to kind of just like palling around with. But then it's like, oh, I love you. And, I care very much for you. So personally, it's been exceedingly rewarding. And obviously from a business perspective, I think we've struck a chord in making this easier.
Okay, you can see why we love JD. We love this mission of this organization. And if you follow JD, he really does live this out. So if you should follow him on LinkedIn. They do Thankful Thursdays. He gets his whole team around this idea. I know it's not a forced thing, but people just want to do it because it's sharing gratitude and it's lifting that message. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the company and the mission a little bit, but through the lens of this really unique partnership we had with you last year. So if you weren't listening to the podcast back in November, so it was election week, we were sitting around seeing this kind of looming, heaviness for the country and just everything that was headed the way. And we thought, what are we going to do for the podcast that week? Because we're committed to showing up 3 times a week, rain or shine, all the things. And we said, what would happen if we just lifted stories of kindness? And we kind of put the practical on the shelf, but really talked about people just doing really great and incredible things. And we called it Kindness Week. And we thought we want to do this lock arm with somebody. And, on LinkedIn, I think is where we originally saw it. We saw, what JD and his leadership team came up with. So after last summer, the horrible death of George Floyd and so much over the course of the summer that it just kind of led to a racial reckoning in our country and so many eyeballs and hearts pouring out and trying to figure out how to direct anger and frustration. His leadership team put power in all of their employees' hands and gave each of them $1,000 to give to a charity that really would do something for them, that would perpetuate something that they wanted to see in the world. And I just thought that story was such this level of kindness that we want to see more of in the corporate world, that it was like this perfect partnership to say, hey, let's do this together. Let's put on Kindness Week together. And JD was so enthusiastic behind it. And it was this beautiful week that we get to share stories of your team. And I don't know if everybody heard that. So I'd just love for you to talk about that project, of the giving back aspect of it and just what that has done culturally for your organization.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it was terrible reasons to take action, but I think we collectively, the entire country was feeling it, and we as a leadership team thought, we want to be involved, but we don't want to be preachy or make decisions on behalf of folks, because we obviously, I think, just as humans carrying humans. Excuse me, my dog's at the door. I got to get him in. I'm like, that's why.
I love that it's like human right now too. Yes, let the dog in. What's his name?
That's Smokey.
Oh, okay.
He's quite the dope. He's very lovable, but he's
Smokey the dope.
He's not going to pass the SATs with flying colors. But I guess people aren't taking the SATs anymore. But anyway, I digress. We wanted to get involved, and we wanted to make a meaningful statement. And we were in a very fortunate position to have been growing quickly and have the ability to do so. And it just, the idea was pretty simple and straightforward. We wanted give everyone $1,000 to give to the charity of their choice, with the, motivation of there's a lot of social justice nonprofits that really need your support more than ever. And just let people make the decisions that they wanted to. And then in the course of the next few weeks, made those donations, and then collect the stories as to why people gave, why it was meaningful to them. And obviously, you guys did a fantastic job, and I thank you for showcasing some of those stories. And to hear it, especially to hear it versus just seeing it written, really made it hit home. Especially, I know one of my teammates whose aunt had died from a disease that he ended up giving back to. It's obviously quite emotional. And we're going to continue that tradition this coming year, both from kind of having a traditional kind of day or week that we give back all collectively, but also we want to motivate people to continue to give back. Because I think two of the big things, internally, I think people really enjoyed the process and felt as good as certainly I did. But two, I think it started to kick drive philanthropy in everyone's heads of saying, oh, if I can do this and I can make this sort of change, I can start making small changes here and there. So this year we're going to be doing $500 for that week for every one of our employees, and we're up to about 60 employees today. And then throughout the year, if they want to raise funds or they are looking to make a donation, we will then match an additional $500. So trying to not only kind of keep that tradition, but then also motivate people to continue to give or to continue to fundraise and support them in that way.
Okay. So I know that this is a conversation about stewardship and about thanking, but I just want to hit the pause on this because what you've just described there to me is what a luminary leader, a servant leader can do to completely inspire a family that works together. And I want to give you some perspective from our end because, and I think it would be interesting for listeners, especially those that actually listen to those Kindness Week episodes. So JD's team, I mean, they really galvanized. I don't even remember how many videos it was.
Gosh,
it was like
15 or 20, right?
or so.
Yeah.
And we can only use 5. And so if you can imagine me sitting in my bed at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, because that's how fun it is on Saturday nights at my house in a pandemic, and I am clicking through, which are 1 to 3 minute videos, 15 of them, and to watch the progression of humanity that unfolds as they share these organizations of which I am learning so much because I haven't heard of some of them. And the way that people who are, I mean, even like a 25-year-old kid who has now been given the gift of $1,000. Can you imagine having the power at 25 to make a $1,000 charitable donation to a charity that means something to you? And they talk about why they gave it. And they educate about that particular charity. I mean, the one that's standing out to me is the individual who gave back to his like Oakland public school system for specifically for technology. Yep. And it's like, I would have never known about that, but what an incredible need. And I could see the look on his face. I could see the individuals who are getting choked up talking about why they gave. This is how you endear people to stick around, to understand the importance of what we're doing. It's not just tech. It's not just putting out a beautiful video. This is really about human connection, and that is where the strength of nonprofit actually lies. So I'm just geeking out over the fact that you did that, and I'm just telling you how much it enriched my life to hear those stories. And I really felt so connected to your company and to your team, and I just thought that was such a great exercise. I'm so excited to hear that you're going to do another iteration or maybe an annual iteration of that. So I kind of want to move into like trends that you're seeing around donor engagement. We're moving into this new year. We're still in the pandemic, but there's kind of some hope that we may be coming out of this, but nonprofits are already pivoting and getting out of that old style of working. What kind of donor engagement trends is your team seeing that people need to be leveraging now?
Well, I mean, I think this whole year has been rapid transformation, and certainly while it's slowing down a bit, March and April, even to think back of how much changed that quickly is it's crazy. It's like, wait, can we just do this all the time? Can we just move that fast all the time? But I think where people were apprehensive of doing it the new way versus the traditional way, obviously that's kind of gone out the window. Digital is much more embraced. The fact that while I don't think there is anything that can replace the in-person, event or relationship, the fact that people have started to understand that virtual events do have a place and can make what you're doing much more accessible to a much larger audience, Whereas, I think there are a lot of financial and other, restrictions that a live event can put on someone. So the fact that you can now make yourself more accessible as your organization through events, I think that's fantastic. But I think the biggest thing I've seen with our clients personally is just their level of communication going up, but I think through meaningful ways. So as opposed to almost like the like I have to send you this email because it's Wednesday in March. It's okay. Let me send you an update about what's happening with your donation, or here's a video from a student that's affected by your kindness, or here's what's happening with the basketball team, whatever it might be. So because we're, one thing I had written here to share is Zoom fatigue is real. Like no one is debating that, but text fatigue is also real, right? It's not like people are like, ugh, get me off Zoom. I want to go read an email. It's like everything is tough.
Yeah.
So to be able to, make those meaningful connections, but do it in a way that I think is even more thoughtful and not just, hey, I'm dropping in because it says so on my communication plan. That's the thing I think the organizations that are really doing the best are really starting to understand that in order to retain those donors, which has always been important, but I think, again, a renewed interest in the recognition that retention is everything is just understanding, okay, at what cadence can I be providing more value? And then obviously when it comes to us, like what's the medium? And if it's something you can do through video, then that's what we're here to help them with.
I love it. And okay, speaking to all those values that you kind of have converging, again, I saw ThankView kind of leading the field on this of actually living this out, is that I think surprise is a big part of this too, is that you just don't want to just be this same old where they don't even read it anymore because they tune out. So last week I see JD, we're recording this the week or so after the inauguration. Bernie memes are everywhere. What does JD do? He walks you through how to add Bernie to your donor emails, like to get more engagement. And it's like, that's what it's about, is about being open-minded to say, what is going to speak most to the donor today? And I love that you're leading the charge of that, because we can also have fun, my gosh. And I love that you're bringing that to the sector. So thank you.
And can I give a little shout out for Bernie, who completely capitalized on this and threw himself on a sweatshirt, sold out, and gave 100% of the donation to Vermont Meals on Wheels. So there is a way that we need to be able, I think that's just a great example, JD's and that one of just, you've got to be able to pivot and adapt in this kind of environment. And how are you bringing value? What you have on your communications plan, it may be valuable in some ways, but like what has resonance because it's timely, because it's urgent, because 100%. It's relevant right now. And I do think that video is the way that you can transact that extremely quickly without having to put together your form letter and get everybody to sign off on it. And then you print it and you mail it. This is a way that you can cut through all of that. And it's more human. You actually see a human on the other end. I'm just here for it.
Yeah. And I think you reminded me of something too. A few of our partners, especially when things were hitting hard last March, the fact that so many of our university partners were able to spin up the student emergency funds almost overnight, like literally sometimes overnight, and then be able to raise really necessary funds for kids to get home or places to stay, food, chargers, computer charges, computers need to be charged. And, I think that's the other thing that you just nailed, is being open to just working quickly and recognizing that often, and I'm saying this to myself too, even with our company, is it's okay to be wrong. And it's okay. Like, you don't want to be, disastrously wrong. You don't want to say something inappropriate, but if you try something and it doesn't work as well as you thought it was, that's just a learning experience. Or recognizing that, we don't need to have every single thing figured out and answered in order for us to start to either take a chance on something or go and be curious and go find that little bit of extra information. Because even in keeping the relationships with our donors, I think that's it. It's during this time, we don't know what's going to be important to them. So even being curious of hey, what's going on with you? Let's open up the relationship, and then whatever important to you, okay, let's turn back around and let's make sure we share that with you. So I think adaptation and being afraid to fail, for lack of a better phrase, I think are definitely trends that I hope continue to be embraced.
And I think if you're a leader in this space, if you're a leader in any place, organization, Sunday school, whatever you are, leading your book club, please foster an environment that allows your people to try some stuff. I mean, we are in the age of everybody needs to try some stuff, and we're going to throw the spaghetti at the wall. Maybe it will stick, maybe it will fall, but we're never going to lose. We're going to learn from those experiences. So if you're a leader, please foster that within your own community, wherever that is. It's only going to help you grow. Okay, well, I'm off my soapbox.
No, that's the perfect segue, because I feel like JD lives out this entrepreneurial mindset that we've talked about a lot. So one of our favorite people is Lynn Wester, donor relations guru. I know y'all are friends and tight, and some of the founding story of your kind of next step with ThankView is going into Otter. And I don't know if most of the listening audience knows about this, but I heard about it through Lynn, and I'm just like, I'm so glad this exists in the world. So would you kind of share a little bit about that project and what y'all do?
And it's Otter, Odder, because the first time I heard it, I thought it was like an otter box.
So they don't have to go against the otters in Wikipedia for SEO. Yeah.
We do make it more confusing because the mascot for Otter is an otter. So just another little mind game with you. This is a perfect example of pivoting on a dime. So right as things were, everyone was kind of out of the office and people were trying to figure out how to readjust to working. We've had a relationship with Lynn for years. I mean, she was literally the first person to find us, and I don't know how she did it, but thank God she did. And she recognized, given her relationship to the donor relation industry, that people were going to have a heck of a time trying to get their endowment reports done. So doing it the conventional way of printing them out, putting them in these binders, that just wasn't really going to be available, nor were people really sure that you even wanted something paper coming into your house.
I'm getting PTSD from it, thinking about back in those days, yes.
Yeah. So working really quickly with her, given our platform, we already had many of the organizations that have donor relations professionals at them. And we quickly turned around with a service to be able to provide those endowment reports digitally, and then be able to do it where it's all personalized and paired up with other impact reports or other kind of documentation that you want to send, and then be able to deliver not only kind of the, hey, it's me, your gift officer, here's your endowment report before, which is an experience that these donors had never had previously, but then be able to have the organization or the gift officer actually know for the first time that my major donor A actually engaged with the report. They read it. They actually looked at it. And again, it just gives you more fodder to then reach out and say, hey, it looks like, tell me what you think about kind of what we did over the last year and what we want to do again this coming year. So together, and I say together, we did the tech side. Lynn is very much the evangelist for this. Together, we now have about 80 different organizations using it, sending anywhere from 1,000 to upwards of 10,000 endowment reports a year. And it's just, I think, a natural extension and just, I think, a further investment into the fundraising world, because obviously, we started with video, but we want to make sure that if there are the things that we can be helpful in, that either we provide the integration to it or we can provide the solution for you.
Brilliant. So the takeaway for me here is nonprofits do as JD does. Like, what resources do you have at your disposal? What are your strengths? Build the programs for what the needs are at the moment using those resources. You didn't start it from scratch because you couldn't have built it that fast, but you looked around and leveraged what you had that was really powerful in the arsenal and made it work. That is the entrepreneurial mindset. Love it.
We have such a heart for the little nonprofit here, and we think about, the individual that could be, a tiny shop, whether they're like a 10-person shop or even a 1-person shop. If they have sort of been employing, these very traditional methods of thanking individuals, putting together an impact.
Thanking and thanking.
Thanking and thanking. They put together their impact reports. They're doing their gift receipts and their thank yous. I wonder if you could give them just a little bit of suggestion about what could they employ now? What are some great tips or tools that would kind of up that stewardship game in some level through the use of tech or just through these channels that I think are very human? What would you suggest for them?
I think, again, what technology allows for is just the efficiency of connection. So, if you can, I think it's really not trying to think yourself too far out of the paper bag of, if you have the time to personalize it, if it's going to take an extra few minutes, but this relationship means a lot to you and your organization, it's figuring out to make the time of saying, okay, I can take this tech piece, I can have all the tracking, I can know all the information. I can put that back in my CRM. It'll make my admins happy, and my director will give me the thumbs up. Fantastic. That's all good for tracking. But then it's figuring out how you can utilizing the power of your extended staff, from your volunteers, from alumni, from students themselves, to then be able to create that personalized touch where, again, it's not just getting something from the organization that they support, it's getting it from someone at the organization that they support. So in this case, I would just say there's nothing in my book that's going to beat just that personalized touch. And in doing that, I think maybe the secret sauce, if I had to give you the secret sauce on there, and I haven't given this to anyone before. No, it's give a good amount of yourself. It's not just, hey, I want to bathe you in, thanking you for what you are, what you do. Tell them a little bit about who you are and why you're here and why you continue to support the organization. Because again, people make connections with people. Organizations are just the shell that, under which the relationship is built. But I think just the more human you can be with with yourself to whomever, I think that's the power of any good relationship. And that's what makes donors keep coming back.
JD is such a good human. I mean, he could have completely taken that opportunity to plug his own product, and he didn't. And I love what you just said there, because it was such a good practical application. And I think I just want to piggyback on the fact that use your donors, because or your volunteers. If a volunteer says, thank you for your gift, I'm here because of this reason, and what you did helps support that. I mean, then you have so many voices to the conversation. You have so many ambassadors. Yep. And what a rich experience that you allow one donor to thank another donor, and get a different lens on why the mission is important. I mean, that would endear me to a mission, and it's something that's so easy that anybody can do because we all have champions. Great tip.
Okay, so JD, y'all have got 1,500 organizations you work with at least. That was the last time I refreshed the numbers on your website.
Yep.
You're around all these incredible philanthropies and stories. What's one that sticks out to you personally or professionally?
So that of clients that we've worked with, or just in my personal life?
I'm going to let you go free, whatever you want.
If you would like to even do one of each, we will allow it.
Yes. Or Julie will cut the one. So if there's only one at the end of this production, that
okay. No, that's so I'll start with the I'll start with the partner. So I think the ones that obviously get to me the most are the ones that the children's hospitals we work with. We have the pleasure of working with a number of different children's hospitals. And I think it's when we get to see the campaigns where it's the kid who's, now a good bit older. They're still a child, but still a bit older. Their illness has gone into remission, or they're completely free of it. And that they're just, smiling. Sorry, I'm going to be kind of choked up because I got a kid now. Whew, sorry. Give me a second. There we go. Just being able to see that is really, really, really powerful, because that's what this is all about, right? Is raising. Sorry, I did not expect to be like this.
I love that you are.
I'm a very emotional person.
Well, and just for some context for the listeners, before we started, JD's 18-month-old daughter is toddling around. Sunny, which is the cutest name ever, is toddling around in the background. So I can understand how personal this is.
Yeah. So thank God, everything is great with Sunny, and we actually have a second baby on the way come April. So knock on wood again. Nice. But yeah, I think when you the fruits of your philanthropy are so obvious, where it's this person is here because of you. It's a beautiful thing. So that from, I don't know what the business impact of that exactly is. The number, I could give you the engagement, the numbers and all that great stuff, but just to be able to facilitate that is awesome. And then I'd say from a personal perspective, I grew up with a grandfather who was super involved in Habitat for Humanity, spent a lot of his weekends in the summertime working on different projects. That instilled in me and my brother a similar kind of want to go and do those sorts of things. So all through growing up, every summer was spent going building houses or helping kind of rehab houses across the United States with different, my church group, but we'd always be going different places. And I think that just, and I have to then just give all that the credit to even the idea of ThankView. It's recognizing that gratitude and being thankful for what you have has led me to where I am today. So again, selfishly, I think from a business perspective, that also has been very rewarding, just to grow up around philanthropy, be able to do it myself, and then through the company, either do it on behalf of, have our clients do it, or do it on behalf of the organization.
You know what? JD's just going to create some Becky emoting right here, because I do think you bring up such a great point, and thank you for sharing those two stories. I have this amazing visual of your grandpa and Jimmy Carter working like side by side, building a house together.
I don't know if they ever built side by side, but yes, yeah. I can see it too.
But what a gift for all of us to be able to work in this sector, for us to be able to have some sort of a, position to observe that these things are happening, and that what we are pouring ourselves into has such a deep and meaningful impact on humanity and on enriching someone's life. And I just, I have to think about you just as a new father, and how much I can see you would almost ante up and pour yourself more, maybe into a pediatric mission at that point, because of the season of life that you're in. Being able to create those moments, we need to be able to take care of ourselves by sitting in the moments and pausing in the chaos and just the hustle of nonprofit, sometime to create space and just say, wow, aren't we blessed? And I think it's okay to be selfish. You talk about the selfish need of like business impact. We should be selfish, and we should say, this fills my cup. It is providing me a living. But you know what? It's also changing and empowering somebody's life for the better. And that is the space that I want to be working in.
Agreed. And I'm like, how do we get more people like JD to serve in this industry? There is a space for social entrepreneurs that have crazy, ridiculous ideas that could help us take our missions further. So I know people like that even listen to the podcast. So I would encourage you to take that crazy big dream and look at the impact that you've gotten to have, JD. It's very, very cool.
Well, thanks.
So we like to ask all of our guests toward the end of the episode, what is your one good thing? And I have to tell you, I'm very excited to hear what JD's one good piece of advice that he could offer to our listeners.
I think it's, again, I'm a simpleton at the end of the day, and I think it all comes back to that. I think maybe, John, you even mentioned kind of the random acts of kindness, or the random acts. Maybe I forget who said it. Whomever it was.
I didn't trademark that.
Yeah. And I think that's it. Especially in your personal life, when you get that text message or that email from a friend out of nowhere, and it just kickstarts. Whether that's where it ends or that's the beginning of a longer conversation. I think that's, as you said, kind of one of those things that really helps you live in the moment and enjoy. Like that's kind of the journey of it all, is being able to enjoy those and sit in those moments that we have. So I'd say, on behalf of organizations, just consider that you can have that impact on anybody, on any of your donors, whether it's a brand new donor or someone who's been with you forever. Just the chance to kind of drop in, say hello, tell them you care. Again, just nothing crazy. But I think it's just the accumulation of little moments add up to a happy life.
I think that is amazing wisdom.
I have to just share the story, and I think we've actually shared the story a little bit on the podcast, but it has such relevance to this story. But we started this program, which I guess was like kind of a ThankView thing, at our old organization, what we called TDOD. It was Thank a Donor a Day. And we would literally pull like the gift journal of who had given in the last week or so, and everybody on staff would get assigned X amount of people to call for that week. And so you had your prospect researcher calling and thanking people for their gift. You have, your annual giving coordinator, all up and down. And the human experiment of that, to me, was so interesting, because we did this for a season, and I don't know how long it went on, 18 months or something. And the level of shock that someone had that you were calling just to say thank you, it will never leave me. Why are you calling? Are you asking for another gift?
That you want something.
Are you, and it's like, I am literally here to tell you that your gift mattered to our mission, P.S. We put it here, and here's some cool stuff that's, going on with, at the time, maybe it was transplant or something like that. And it was just this time to connect and reach out to people. And the standoffness of the beginning was completely flipped by the end of that, whether it was a 45-second conversation or, I had one that went a half hour one time, just because you meet these little old ladies who just are happy to talk and share their story. And that really enriches the fabric of the organization for us, because we're hearing from people. We created this bridge between us. There is a human on the other line. That I just think that what you just said as your one good tip is something that could be so applicable and would cut through the white noise of everything else that's going on right now, to just say thank you.
Okay. And I love that. That's a fantastic program. We got to bring that back.
Let's bring it back.
Bring it back.
Who wants to pilot it? Somebody out there, pilot this.
I might be emailing you guys later. You never know.
Trademarks. So just slight royalty. Great.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, JD, people who love you, love this platform. How can they find you online? I've already pitched your LinkedIn, so definitely find you there.
JD's LinkedIn is solid. You should go follow him on LinkedIn.
Oh boy, can't wait for those follows. No, thankview.com, ThankView.com. Check us out. You can get a much younger version of me in a example video that gets sent out. We need to update that. Like 5 years younger and a lot more hair. And you can sign up there. Our team, we have a ton of people here to help answer any of your questions, show you around the product, give you a trial, talk to you about, if it's right for you and if it's not right for you. I think, that's the thing too. We want to make sure that if you're going to invest in something like this, that it's going to make an impact for you. And then to know that we have a team dedicated here of about 20 people that are entirely here to support you and make sure that whatever you're looking to do, you succeed at it.
And
I'm sorry.
Jinx joke. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, all of our organizations have budgets you can put toward different products. The thing with you guys, and I'm saying this unabashedly because we've worked with some of your team, is that the people that are part of your team really want to be there and really want to advance these organizations. And I think that's what struck us, is that literally that generosity, that gratitude just flows through the whole team. And so it's just a joy to get to work with you guys. So
we really have one brain, because I was just about to say, if you heard any of those stories about the ThankView team giving and how they understand philanthropy, how it is ingrained in them personally and professionally, you will know that you are not getting a tech company. You are getting people actually who believe in missions. And so I'm not trying to sell ThankView. I just really love, I love you and I love your people. And I just think that there are a lot of products out there and it's hard to know where to start. But to me, if you start with the human and you start with knowing their heart and you know that they're there to take care of you and they understand intrinsically what you are trying to do and they just want to galvanize it, I think that's a great starting point for anybody. So we're here
believers.
We're believers of it. We're
100%. Yeah. If I can say, if there's any secret sauce we have, it is our team. That is truly the secret behind all this. I'm a simpleton at the end of the day, but you get good people around you, and if you got good people, you have good clients, and you believe in what you're doing. I think with degree of success you'll find, I don't know, but I think you'll find success.
I'm inspired.
This has been an awesome convo. Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
And thank you for the reminder that we all just kind of need to pause and sit in the gratitude of the moment and share that gratitude. I think that's been such a good, wholesome lesson. So thank you, JD. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.